Hey y'all, I'm Mandy. Welcome to Pouring from the Overflow. Listen, if you were asked, what are the greatest two commandments? Most likely you would quote either from Matthew, Mark, or Luke to love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. Love your neighbor as yourself. We typically get that, but I want us to look a little deeper at this because there's some things that I think oftentimes we overlook, and sometimes we um, our intentions are good, and we intend to love God with every part of us, but we hold on to something and we don't even realize we're doing it, and we wonder why we can't experience peace with God. So I want us to look at this story. We're going to look at Mark's account, but this is where the Pharisees approached Jesus. They ask him this wild question because that's just what they do. They're always trying to discredit Jesus, always trying to trip him up. And they ask, what's the greatest commandment? Because they think whatever he says is going to make something seem unimportant, but this is God they're messing with. And he always has the right answer. So he responds by quoting Deuteronomy chapter 6. I don't want us to miss the first part of this. He says the greatest or the most important is this: Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. And I'm reading from Mark 12, that's verse 29. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. So that part, we can't miss it, because until we hear and believe, right? And until we see God as he is, how are we going to love him? Because how are we going to love somebody we don't know? How are we going to trust somebody we don't know? So it's so vital that we see God as he is and ourselves as we are. In the Gospels also, we can read about Jesus calling his first disciples. And there was a guy named Andrew that Jesus called first. He was one of the first. And Andrew is a brother to somebody you have heard of, Peter. Andrew is actually the one that led his brother Peter to Jesus. Before his name was Peter, he was known as Simon. And one day Simon said to his brother, he had gotten to know Jesus, and he said, Simon, we found the Messiah, come and see. And so he went. And one night they had been out fishing all night long, didn't catch anything, and Simon's out in his boat and he's discouraged, and Jesus shows up. He recognizes Jesus because his brother had introduced him, and he believed that he was the Messiah, but at that time he had not experienced Jesus himself. So there's this doubt going on in his mind because he had not had that experience. Jesus says, put down your nets. And he said, well, we fished all night. We didn't catch anything, but okay. Out of respect, I guess, he puts down his net. And when he did, it filled up so much that the boat couldn't hold it. He had to call for help. And in that moment, he saw the holiness of God and the unholiness of himself. And he responded to that. He fell on his face and he said, go away from me, I'm a sinful man. But Jesus didn't go away from him. He drew near to him. And that's what he does to us. When we see him as he is and ourselves as we are, he draws near. He got over into Peter's boat. That story gets me every time. But yeah, we need to see God as he is. What does it look like to love God with all of our heart? Well, what does it mean to give your heart away? What does it mean to fall in love? There's adoration, right? There's affection. When we love with all of our heart, it's going to cause us to worship. It causes a response. We're naturally going to look for the glory of God. When we are loving him with our heart, we see his beauty, we see his majesty, we see his goodness, we see his glory, we see his grace, and it causes us to respond. So we're no longer doing what we do as an effort to make him love us, because we see it, we experience it. and it changes us, right? So when God calls us to love Him, it's not Him being prideful and arrogant. He's intending to bless us, He's intending to give us this abundant life. What does it mean to love God with our soul? Well, we've already determined that the soul is the whole person, right? It's the mind, will, and emotions. So to love God with our soul is to love Him with our thoughts. We're going to meditate on His Word, loving Him with our desires, to desire what He desires, to feel what He feels. Loving God with our soul causes us to see life differently. It causes us to see other people differently. We see other people as His creation. And when we see people as God's creation and as He sees them, then we're not going to want to treat them with injustice. We're going to want to serve them. We're going to want to bless them because we're loving God with our soul. So when we love God with our soul, it causes a response. It causes obedience. And what about loving Him with our mind? And this is so cool, y'all. In Mark, he quotes Jesus as including mind. But if you go back to Deuteronomy chapter 6, it doesn't say mind. It actually says heart, soul, and might. But if you keep reading, mind is summarizing what is said in verses 7 through 9. So let me just read that to you. This is what Jesus meant by loving God with our mind. He said, "You shall teach them diligently to your children. Talk of them when you sit in your house, when you walk by the way, when you lie down, when you rise. Bind them as a sign on your hand. They shall be as frontlets between your eyes. You shall write them on your doorpost of your house and on your gates." He says, think about Him all the time. He's saying, be that person that people say, she's too much. She's obsessed. That's all she wants to talk about. Be that person. Let your hands represent who God is. Let your house represent who God is. Teach it to your kids. Talk about it when you go to bed, when you get up, when you go to work, when you go to the grocery store, when you go to the bank. Tell somebody about Him. Love Him with your mind. When He's on your mind, okay, then you cannot keep it to yourself. I know people think I'm over the top sometimes because I do want to talk about Jesus all the time. I see Him everywhere. Listen, just this week, my grandbaby and I watched Charlotte's Web. Okay, this is an old movie. I'm old. I'm 47. I don't mind telling you. I've read the book. I've seen the movie. There's no telling how many times. I'd never seen this before. Y'all, it is a picture of the gospel. I had never seen it before, but the gospel's on my mind now. So I see Jesus everywhere I look. Look, Wilbur, he was destined to die. Charlotte gave her life so he could live. He came in the barn and he was friendly to everybody and he changed the atmosphere just by his existence. He was radiant. That's what Charlotte put in her web. He was humble. Are you seeing this? It is a picture of the gospel. How have I missed this all of these years? Love God with your mind and you will see Him. It doesn't matter where you look. He's everywhere. Okay, love Him with your strength. This is using everything God's given you to pour out. In Genesis, when we're told about creation, remember God says that we are to have dominion over and subdue creation. That means use what I've given you and multiply it. Cultivate what I've given you. So your time, use that. Your resources, use it. your talents, your abilities, use it. God has given every single one of us so much that is intended to serve a purpose. It's not just um, coincidence that you know how to sing. You were intended to use your voice for the glory of God. It's not coincidence. I wish I had that talent. I don't. If you've got it, use it for the glory of God. It's no coincidence um, if you, I don't know, maybe you're retired and you have extra time and somebody needs help getting to doctor's appointments. God's opened up that time for you to use it. Everything we have it's not intended to store up, y'all. It's intended to change the world. And so then he says, the second like unto it is to love your neighbor as yourself. Okay, so I thought about that. Well, how do we love ourselves? Well, we're not going to let ourselves get into a dangerous, threatening situation, right? Well, if you see somebody else in a situation that they don't need to be in, help them if it's where you can. If we're hungry, we're going to eat. If we're thirsty, we're going to drink. If you see somebody else that is in need, serve them. When we're afraid or when we're sad, we seek comfort. If you see somebody in need of comfort, be that comfort. Love people as you would love yourself. We don't like to be treated unfairly, and it is our job to stand up for people who can't stand up for themselves. It is our responsibility. It's a privilege to do that. We become extensions of who Jesus is, y'all. When he ascended, he said, it is better for you that I go away. I will leave for you the comforter. Think about that. I mean, the church, we are like just branches of the tree of life all over the world. What if every person on earth loved God and loved people? It would be Eden. God invites us to become a part of restoring what is broken, to be a part of his redemptive plan. Guys, it's amazing. It's amazing when you see it. I hope this blesses you. I would love to pray for you. I would love to talk to you. So I thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Have a great day.